y'all, it's the Kings. Today, what?
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about budgeting.
Yay.
And by we, I mean really husband. But I'll put in my 2 cents because I don't know how not to. So here we go.
That's pretty funny. It's true. So basically, budgeting, it's like a dirty word, but then at the same time, it's a very helpful tool to learn. It's absolutely one of those things like taxes. They just don't teach you how to do this in school anymore. What they do is they teach you how to do everything else but the functioning life skills that we could all require. So a budget is something that I thankfully helped my mom with. My mom helped me, whatever, back and forth. There was something we did when I was younger. So that being the case, it was kind of second nature to me. Just as you grow up, as you manage your own money, as you don't really have a safety net to fall back on, that you got to make sure you know where your money's going. You got to make sure you know how much is coming in, how much is going out. That's kind of important. That honestly is the basics of budgeting. This much comes in, so therefore only this much can go out. Because if more goes out than comes in, you lose. This is a game. It's all a game.
Okay.
But that all leads to just trying to stay disciplined. That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing with a budget. Mm-hmm. And so I called it the envelope system when I was younger. Still do it. But, if you want something, you know how much that thing costs. And therefore, I'd put an envelope in a drawer, on my billboard, wherever you wanted to put it. And I knew I wanted this thing in 6 months. Okay, well, take that, divide it by how many weeks it's going to be. If it's, a full year, 52. If it's half of it, it's 26, all that fun stuff. And you do that much money per week into the envelope, and then you hide it from yourself. And so that kind of started the whole concept of creating your own budgets. Now it's a little more sophisticated here in the millennial household. We have spreadsheets and on a shared Google Doc and all that fun stuff, just to make sure we know what's leaving, what's coming, all that fun stuff. But it's absolutely how we ended up getting to the farm at a very young age, because probably wasn't the smartest decision, but we knew we could pull it off because we had it down to the penny. Well,
not only that, because you looked at our monthly, I'll never forget, and you said we can afford that extra mortgage without selling our other home and without compromising on too much of our life.
Yeah, well, we say that. We gained 40 pounds each because we were living off of free food.
Yes, and fast food, which is not cheap.
No.
No. But when you're renovating a house and
it's kind of
renovating
a necessity.
2 houses, that's kind of how that works.
Or house and apartment.
At least for us. So anyway.
Bojangles is a beautiful thing in a pinch on a Saturday night.
Or KFC, the family things.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't eat like that anymore. But at the time, it got us through.
It still gets me sometimes. I miss them.
Those biscuits.
Oh.
They're good. But, so anyhow, he looked at the monthly and was like, we can afford another mortgage. And I said, holy smokes, like, how is that even humanly possible? Not to mention, like, how we were going to get a down payment for the farm and keep our home, because the farmhouse, which I call it a farmhouse, is a little ranch that we redid. It was livable. It was definitely livable, but we needed to repipe because the galvanized pipes were leaking. So we had to repipe the whole thing. So we didn't have water for over a month here. So we couldn't move in. No. It wasn't possible. So
and priority number 1 for the record also was to get the horses in the backyard, because while you're paying someone else to watch your horses, that's quickly wrapped into a mortgage.
Right.
If you can take that money and put it into an asset.
Right, exactly. So while we were doing the repiping of the house, of course, first night of the house, husband rips out all the cabinets. And then,
the kitchen was just unacceptable, and I couldn't help it. And that's like my favorite space in the entire house.
It's a running joke. I painted and tried to add beauty, and he destroyed.
Right. And for the record, yes, what you're thinking is correct. We did have to repaint that wall.
Yes, we did. It's okay. It made me feel really good the first day we had the house. It was really beautiful. But anyway, we digress. So, during all of that, when we'd bought an apartment the year before, We still owned our home, and now we were thinking, holy smokes, we're going to buy a farm. It was...
Granted, we did not have Tiny at this point.
No, Tiny wasn't
These
here.
kinds of risks are much easier when it's just the two of you. Worst case scenario, we'll sleep in the truck.
That's what he always said. And I would say, do you really think we're going to sleep in the truck? And he was like, no.
No, but if we had to, we had to. I mean, it's kind of the way it works.
So, anyhow, when he said we could afford the extra mortgage, I didn't believe him. And literally, he ran the numbers for our month. Because the way I budget and the way he budget, they're very different. I am okay, this is where money comes in. And then this is what I've spent and what. And then I try to, gauge that per month. And that sounds like we're saying the same thing. But somehow, we're not saying the same thing. You are a wizard. So how do you do it in a way that you round up, right?
Always.
You always round up.
I round up on expenses and down on income. Always. So at a minimum, you find $100 in rounding errors. So if you can find that $100, that's kind of a little bit of a buffer. I was also that person that got a credit card the day he turned 18 because I felt like I needed to build credit.
And I was absolutely petrified of credit cards. When we were in college, we've been together since we were 14, y'all. Yeah. So if anybody didn't know that.
There's that.
So all of our stories are typically together.
Oh, yes.
So he wanted a TV in college. And not just a TV, he wanted a flat screen
I forgot it was
LG.
the TV. I forgot it was the TV.
It was, yeah.
We still have that TV.
We do, actually.
She lives
in the apartment.
Yes, of course it is. It's where she was born.
It was worth the $650. But $650 for this 42-inch LG. And flat screens were still, they were expensive. Yeah.
It was $640-something.
And we were
For the record, this is the, if we could ever tell a story of what's the difference in you two and the way y'all think about money, right there. I forgot it was a TV. I could have never guessed how much money it was. Kira knew it was an LG, though, $642. That's the difference. And at some point, it's okay, whatever.
42 inches.
That's what you said.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll never forget it because his roommate and I were behind him in the Best Buys. He's picking them out, and I'm going, this is a really bad idea. You can't do this. This is so much money. How are you going to afford this? We're 18 years old. It's 2009, right? No, 2008? Yes, 2008.
It should have been 8. I think I did it right when we got there.
You did. No, you did it in 2009 because the giant
right,
TV.
Yeah, because the beast blew up.
It blew up. Those old TVs with a boat on the back.
Yeah, but it was also, the one that was an inch too small to get the wheels on it. So us trying to get it out of the apartment, we just threw it out the window.
Oh my gosh, it was so big.
It was terrible.
Anyway, so that died. So here we are. We're in Best Buy. We're trying to get a TV. Well, we're not. Roommate and I are looking at him like he's nuts.
Well, his roommate in Diggity.
Oh, yeah. So he opens up a Best Buy credit card of all things. And I was like, you've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. This is a horrible idea. You're never going to be able to pay it back. Everything you read, Dave Ramsey, everything says cut your cards, don't have credit cards. And I was like, this is awful.
For the record, Dave Ramsey is a brilliant man. He has very good thoughts. But I also believe that if you have some self-control, you can use the system to your advantage.
That's where you differ from a lot of budget-minded people. And, I have to tell you, because I live this life, it works.
It works.
So it was a 0% interest card for, I think you had 18 months.
Oh, right. Something ridiculous to pay off $600.
Yeah, and it was paid off within no time.
Yeah.
He looked at me
and said, with the envelopes?
See? And I was like, okay. But I was still not a believer.
Never.
I think it was 3 or 4 years later I got a credit card. And I would put a grocery bill on it. And then I'd pay it right off. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it sitting there. The possibility the interest I didn't even know when the interest would come. I didn't understand the due dates. And I would pay it right off. I couldn't do it.
Yes. I will tell y'all that the moment it is humanly possible, Tiny will have one. And not even that it's a credit card. She will have some sort of revolving account that she's in charge of. And then when she messes it up, then you're having to pay the late fees because that's how life works. You don't always have this extra stipend sitting in the corner waiting for you to save you when you mess that up. You mess that up, guess what? You're out of money. That stinks. Yeah. Sometimes when you're out of money, you don't get to eat that day. unless you're growing your own food. I'm just saying. I mean, it's different. So I'm a firm believer in, you got to kind of figure it out. And also may or may not like to push the limits a little bit.
He likes to push the limits. So when we got to the farm, literally we could, after he ran our budget for mortgages, food, bills, literally, like, it was to the dime we could afford the farm. And it was so
And you cannot
close.
vary from the plan.
Okay, so we're at the closing table. And they say the mortgage payment is an extra $200 from the estimated payment per month. And we were like, what?
Yeah, that was
$200 at that time was monumental.
We had it to the pin. I mean, we were within like
Monumental.
$10. Thankfully, a little bit of rounding error helped us get there, as always.
Well, so we come to find out they overestimated our flood insurance. We didn't actually need that flood insurance. They dropped it within, 6 months?
Something like that.
But at that time,
that was a tight 6 months.
Our Athens apartment had just started renting. We have that on Airbnb. We were living in our other home, waiting to try to rent that out. So we were redoing things we needed to do there. Oh, and by the way, we're repiping. It was absolute insanity. It was absolute insanity. And we had done a cash out refi to buy this. So
yes.
It was all
on credit.
It was all on credit. And it was all a really big risk. Like, if one of us had, gotten an illness or lost our jobs or, we would have been under. Like, it would have
sold everything.
Well, it would have.
If it would have sold.
It would have been really hard.
I always say that. Oh, it wouldn't have been fun. It would have been difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, none of those worst case scenario things happened.
No, we just treaded some water and got on through.
And that's I think the key to your type of budgeting, that a lot of people either they don't know how to control themselves.
Yep.
Me included.
For sure. Absolutely. Love you to death. Yes, you're following that.
ShopGoodwill.com this year has
almost put us under. It was tighter. It was tighter than when we had multiple mortgages and no money.
Don't say that. That's not true. That's not true.
No, it's not.
And the house is so pretty.
It's gorgeous. I love it. It's a beautiful mirror.
All these beautiful antiques.
Mirror on the wall.
Y'all, shopgoodwill.com. We'll have a whole thrifting podcast at some point.
Yes, you will.
You'll be on it too, just for the giggles.
I'll have lots of giggles. But
so, anyway,
yes, no, it gets dicey for sure. You can, and it's that's what I always try to for anyone who ever wants to know, who's genuinely interested or any of that kind of stuff. The budget of it, I mean, write it down and genuinely write it down. Like, be honest with yourself. Go through your bank account and see. Okay, this is where I spent money. Your bank account will help you. You can organize it by food or by Walmart or you can do that stuff, or Amazon. It's easy. Click it, sort it by Amazon. I mean, you can do things like that will give you an honest oh wow, is that really what I spent? Because we all have ideas. We all lie to ourselves. That's just the way it is. I mean, we're genuinely naturally going to be conservative in what we say we spend. Well, I mean, I walked 3 miles yesterday.
I kind of like exercising. Yeah,
right.
That's what
Right. Did you walk 3 miles yesterday? No, that was 3
weeks ago.
Right, exactly. Right. That's why we also have the call out calendar, to where we have a calendar hanging in the sunroom that Kira marks down when she exercises every single time.
I would lie to myself.
Right, because that's the way it works.
We'll do a podcast about that stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, and we started it as a competition. We mentioned earlier that we lived off of free food and takeout and all that fun stuff, and gained 40 pounds, and then we had to lose all that weight, and so that became a competition to where we had the call out calendar to who could work out more, and she definitely kicked my butt in that one. But
4 years later, I'm still
doing it, because it doesn't allow you to lie to yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing when you're spending money. I mean, you can nickel and dime yourself into oblivion. And so the whole credit thing, we got off on a tangent as always. We apparently can't help ourselves. But the credit piece of it, if that makes you want to just throw up, then don't do it. Don't.
Don't play that game.
No, don't play that game. Don't do it. Don't just stop.
You can lose.
You can lose, absolutely.
And lots of people do lose.
But I have extreme confidence in us. I will literally it's the kind of thing to where if we have a card and it's like an OPU card, and that it literally isn't even activated unless I need it. It's just sitting in the drawer, because I won't even allow myself to carry it with me. I mean, the only thing that's on me is my license and some cash, because that's all I'm going to allow myself to spend right now. Mm-hmm. All the other things is just, I don't need that right now.
More often than not, if we use a credit card, it's a 0%
Oh, absolutely.
For a certain term.
Time. But if that's for a larger purchase, I mean, we definitely use credit cards online purchases and stuff like that because, don't use your debit card online. It's easily stolen. They won't give you your cash back. You can dispute charges on credit cards. That's a whole nother thing. Mm-hmm. But, yes, absolutely. I mean, if we do it, like a big purchase on something like that, like the HVAC went out on the rental property. Okay, well, I don't know about y'all, but I didn't have the $20,000 laying around to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, or however much it was. I don't think it was that much. But, but we had the room to put it on there and stretch it out for 12, 18 months. That's just that it fits our monthly better.
Well, and you always call and ask, like, are you offering anything?
Right. Yep.
Right now it's Discover. They've been offering a lot.
Yep.
But it's not just big purchases. It's also vet bills. We have a lot of animals. And you don't even want to know our annual vet bill. Like when they just come. Thank God they come to the house and they're amazing and we love them. But just how many? We have 8. There are 8 that they see. The small animal vet.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we're talking $2,000.
Oh, minimum.
Yeah. For a year. And yes, we could nickel and dime and save up for that, but we have an OSHIT card for vet bills, and that's what we put it on, and then we pay it down. If we've saved up the cash, we'll automatically apply it, or we'll just pay it down over a couple months, and it accrues a little interest. Same thing with the horses.
Well, that honestly is just to keep that money separate. So we have a card that does all the vet stuff because then we know that's what the vet is. So we can't lie to ourselves. That card is the vet. Everything else on the other cards is everything else. Yeah. So we have to have that line drawn.
Well, you never know. Like for the horses, our horse vet's so awesome, y'all. So awesome. I have him on the list to hopefully get a guest, but I don't think he'll talk.
I don't think he'll talk either.
But he's amazing. But anyway, and he's very reasonable. And he's always he's wonderful. But horses, you never know. I mean, it could be $100, like, here we go. And, there's always a come-out fee. Or it could be $900, like, we've had to extract teeth. Like, we've had to do...
I still have those teeth.
Rowdy, our paint horse, our Missouri Foxtrotter a few years ago, had a hematoma on his nasal cavity.
Yeah, up in there.
That we
it was,
had
like,
to,
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like inside his nasal
passage. He was having nosebleeds.
Yes.
It was the most bizarre thing.
And we had to cut it, then drain it and spray it.
He put formaldehyde up in it.
Yeah, but he sprayed it.
It was crazy. No, you weren't here. He shot this cool... he had to order this thing, and it had this, long tube on it with a needle. And he shot... That's how it was an extender for a needle. It was the coolest thing ever. Anyway, when you have this many animals... Dave Ramsey says have an emergency animal fund, I think. But...
You can't always get there. So that's why we use credit. So that's what I was trying to say earlier if the credit stuff makes you want to just throw up, do not do it because the stress is not worth it. It's just not worth it. So your best route is to do the envelopes. Hide your cash. If you want to do that, but you can't do it right now, then you're going to have to wait a year. That's just the way this works. So it's more of the story is to just be very, very disciplined. Right. Like you can do whatever you want, and you don't have to have a crazy income. I mean, we still to this day do not make, shocking amounts of money. And we certainly made less 5 years ago, 6 years ago when we bought the apartment and when we tried to do the farm. And Kiera started her own business. And I mean, these are all risks that you have to take. We don't have to. These are all risks that we chose to take because it's what we wanted, and we wanted to do it sooner rather than later. So, therefore, we pushed the envelope. You don't have to push the envelope like that. I mean, take your time. There's
give me
life's
a
5-year
goal or a 10-year goal.
Absolutely. That's what we always...
I never thought... I thought we'd have a farm by 40. Yeah. But we both wanted to raise children on a farm, and so...
There it is.
Pedal to the metal.
Here we go. There's no way around it.
And you live frugally. That's very important, too. So, self-discipline when it comes to spending, but it's not just that. You have to think... frugally. Like, if he's in charge, he looks at all our numbers, and he knows the numbers better than I do. I know the overall picture. But if he came to me and was like, okay, we literally only have $100 left in our bank account, which he still does sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to keep it tight. Right. We need to stop for the month. I stop. So, if there's okay, stupid things like Ziploc bags or something like that I can wait on, I wait. You don't have to have that right away. And that's what, with Amazon.
Right. Cancel your Amazon account. Seriously.
We turned it off.
Yeah, we killed it for sure.
Because we were just spending so much money.
It's too easy.
It's so easy. Oh my gosh, I want this little thing. That would be really cool. Done. Done. Okay, well then you just spent $30, let's say, as an example.
And for the record, Goodwill.com is the same thing, except for antiquing. So there's that.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yes, of course.
But no, really.
No, truly, I it's still Goodwill. It's not like it's a crazy amount of money. It's just fun for us to mess with each other.
Yes,
it's Goodwill not even close to our Amazon bill. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, they don't have paper towels, all right?
No, and you know what? It was really inconvenient sometimes to not use Amazon at all. Really.
Oh, the Ziploc bags was the perfect example. We didn't have Ziploc bags for a week because we are a one-car family, because we got one vehicle that can house all of us, that can fit us and the family, us and the tiny and the dogs, and pull the horses and all that fun stuff. So then we were like, okay, well, let's do it. I mean, Kira doesn't have to go to the office, and my office is very close. And so we just have one car.
That's another.
And so if
you don't have to have two cars.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially during this pandemic and when people are working from home.
Yep.
Like, he came to me last March and said, let's sell your car, and I internally panicked.
That was the second time I did that to you.
It is, yeah.
The other time we got a car.
The car and you stole the.
That is true. I did. I just came back and asked you for your title.
Yes, but if you just
I really
use
am a nice person.
Like if you're not running carpool every day, and if you're not,
oh right,
and you have a two-person home where you can have one car, it has saved us so much money in car payments and insurance and gas
repairs.
And repairs, because rats were eating my engine because it was just sitting there a lot of the time. So another way to help your budget.
Just get creative. That's more than anything that on the budgeting stuff is that's why you have to go through your accounts. You have to look at everything. You have to and be honest with yourself. Like, don't allow yourself to lie to yourself. I feel like I said to yourself like 17 times. Mm-hmm. So just go through it and see exactly what you're spending and put it onto a sheet and look at it and be like, okay, what could honestly go away? On average, you're spending 15 to 17% on just nothing.
Yeah, all those subscription TV things, they're only $5. Right. Okay, well, if you have 15 of them.
Right, and if you have cable and those, then okay, we just need to move on here. That's just crazy.
Well, it's just not necessary. Right. You might enjoy it, but you know what? Thriftbooks.com, I can get a book for $5, and I enjoy that too, and it lasts a lot longer than
you could also just just whatever. Yes, I agree. You can read. You could still get all your TV stuff and just subscribe to the 3 big ones and spend $20 a month and move on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's that simple. So
right, and to go back to we sidetracked as we do. The whole Ziploc thing. Yes, we didn't have Ziplocs for a week and a half. Right,
because we had one car, and I kept forgetting to go get them, and we don't use Amazon anymore. So,
but it forces you to either realize you don't need something in a lot of ways. Because, I like crafting. So I just get all these crafts that sometimes would just sit there, and I wouldn't do them. So unless I really, really want to do something, and I will, drive out to a craft store, I don't do it. And then when I'm at that point where I'm going to commit to it, then you commit, and then you spend the money, or I'll know, I'll save up this much to go spend. But if you do need something, let's say Ziplocs, okay, well, what are alternatives to Ziplocs? We made some beeswax. Yeah, beeswax wraps. That was a tongue twister.
It was.
We'll use those. We'll use our Tupperwares more. It forces you to be creative.
Yes.
And look around you, and that glass jar that I might have thrown away, I can use that for a leftover, or that little plastic container.
And I highly recommend the stainless steel mixing bowls with lids. Those things will save you in a pinch.
And buying Ziplocs is a convenient thing, and there are some things where
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely like to throw my crackers when I'm not using them, or when they're unwrapped into a Ziploc. It keeps them fresh. But there are alternatives, and it forces you to think more sustainably.
Because you have to.
Because you have to, right.
Yeah, and so it's a bit of a challenge.
It is.
We like to turn everything into a game.
Yes.
Because it makes it more fun. Life's just one giant game that is just fun.
That's true.
So taxes. Taxes is the biggest game.
The biggest thing that's happened lately about budgeting is you're obviously budgeting at work, which not even in your job description, but it was quickly realized that you had a gift with budgeting because you're a wizard, and there's a lot more zeros on things at work, and that doesn't phase you.
No.
Because it's
just a number.
Because it's just a number.
Yeah.
So if you make not a lot of money, but
if you make $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, $1 million, you still can spend it as fast as you bring it in. Mm-hmm. So you got to still be responsible no matter what.
And you can make things stretch. Like
right.
things can.
Absolutely.
Like he said, we were not making. I had just started a business. We weren't making a lot at all. We were just very creative.
Right.
And if you're creative and self-disciplined, and you're looking to buy a little piece of land, or you're looking to save for animals or
the average
gardens,
vacation truly is a down payment.
Yeah. So, and we don't eat out.
No.
We don't eat out. And we do go on vacations, but it's like every other year, every 2 years.
Right, exactly. We try to stagger it that way because it also costs us more to leave because we
you have to pay a farm sitter.
Right. We enlist professionals as much as possible to help watch the farm and all that fun stuff because we love our animals. And we bring the dogs whenever we can. But it just, yes, I would say, and vacations are beautiful. I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying if you create the home in which you can go sit out back and just close your eyes at 6 a.m. and chill for a minute, that's the best freaking vacation I think I've ever had. But, everybody's different. So I also think that you just got to see what works best for you. But creativity and self-discipline are the absolute top two things to implement.
Well, and I was very nervous that, having a child would be astronomical in price. And we were very blessed in that I was able to breastfeed for as long as I needed to.
Yeah.
And at some point we looked into cloth diapers, and I know that sounds horrifying. It did to me. Horrifying.
It still freaks me out when you say it.
Cloth diapers.
Yeah, just
poop in cloth diapers.
It's horrible. There's poo everywhere. And then you have to touch it.
In fact,
and then you have to pick it up sometimes.
Stop
touch it.
You are so gross. That is not true. You are scaring people. That's not true in the slightest. We bought a little bidet that hooks onto the back of the toilet.
Greatest $20 ever spent in the history of the world. I mean, the great.
It looks like a kitchen sprayer on your sink.
Exactly, but forget the cloth diapers. We have a sprayer on the toilet. I mean, that thing comes in handy for so much random stuff. Say you forget the trash can, do you have bags in your little trash can in your bathroom? Nope, doesn't matter.
I'm so excited
you pour
to
it
see
up,
where this conversation's going.
Hose that little joker out and pour her out. I mean, it's amazing. You want to clean the toilet, you get a little scrub, and then and you spray that little joker around. I mean, seriously, greatest little $20 ever. Someone pisses you off when you're in the bathroom, you just whoosh and shoot them with the toilet water. It is amazing.
Who pisses you off while you're in the bathroom?
We never know.
Is it not Tiny?
No, it's normally a dog. You know, whoosh and shoot him real quick.
Good. Okay, great. Anyway, point is, we spent $400 on cloth diapers, whereas we had spent.
It's $50 a case of diapers. Actually, it's $57 a case of diapers.
And we were going through two a month?
Right. So that's $100. That's 4 months worth of diapers. Done.
Yep.
So if we just sucked it up and did it for 4 months, it paid for itself. So we're the people that, damn it, for 4 months we're going to do this because we're going to get our money out of it.
That's true. Yeah.
And then, past it, you're like, okay, well, now I'm cashing it. I mean,
and it's not that bad.
No.
It's really not that bad. Now, we are home a lot. If we were out and about a lot, it makes a little bit of a difference.
Yes.
And we did wait until things were... Anyway, we can do a thing on that one day, too. But, however, it saved us a lot of money. So you look at your situation in life, whether you're single, you're a couple...
Our situation.
You have a family, you have animals, you have a garden that needs some monetary tending. You look at your situation and you see... I never felt poor. I've never felt like when we were living frugally and when we were living tight and things were tight to the penny tight, but I have never felt like we didn't have what we needed and felt very poor.
Yeah, but we never would. Right. It's all a mindset. I mean, I say that and it's horrible. There's some people that are seriously
Yes.
Something I couldn't even
understand.
Right. That is a life that I could never even imagine.
But I think a lot of people think of a tight budget as
poor. Right. Yeah. And first of all, you're not. Hello.
Right.
Unless you're at that whole nother level of things. But it's yeah, it's also it's just stay positive. You're good. And give yourself, like, when I say we're down, like we're budgeting, like when we bought the farm and we were budgeting and we were like that $200 about sent us over. You know where we found that $200? In the expenditure folder. I mean, there's literally a line in the budget that says crap. I mean, it does, because you have to. It's called groceries, and then it's called crap. Because we're going to spend $200-$300 on crap, because it's just crap. I mean,
and that could be like
that could be anything, right?
It could be something that you need, but you don't need every month.
Right, exactly. Or that's another thing. Thank you for reminding me. Trash service. That's every 3 months. It is in the budget for every month. That's a hidden $75. Little things like that, to where you trick yourself, give you that extra little bit for things to go haywire.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, and it's not to say that we haven't made mistakes either.
Oh, of course.
He put my ring on.
You can tell the story all you want. I did not pay the interest, and we were fine.
No, you didn't, but nope. I revoked his budgeting.
Oh, for like a solid 20 days, and then she was like, I can't take it anymore.
Well, okay, so a lot of things say you budget as a couple. And we do. We have a lot of discussions.
Oh, we talk about it once a month, and we look at it, and we know all that stuff.
But if we were both meddling in that spreadsheet, it would become a mess.
Yeah.
And he's much more comfortable with all of this than I am, because I'm very stringent. I like to write it all down. I like to think on it, and then I stress about it.
Right. And that was the biggest thing, is that seriously, like, the stress that it caused her was just not worth it. Just wasn't worth it. And I'm that weird person that, like, I might forget your name. I love you to death, but I will not forget the number. I don't know why. It just, it sticks with me. So it's easy for me to remember that kind of stuff, to where she will, like, I'll say, what's the credit card at? Oh, yeah, right. But nope. We are looking that up, and we're telling you what it is to the penny.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, that's close enough, but it's just different. But that's also why we work. So
it is. And you might be by yourself, and you might not have or maybe both of you.
Both of you just hate the numbers.
Yes.
Get that.
Bless you. I feel your pain.
That's when you do the envelopes, because then you're just like, oh, look, we got $500.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. But, so, okay, side note story. When he bought my ring, he was still in college to propose to me. So we put it on credit, and he had.
Because I had credit.
What, 18 months?
Yes.
Okay, he had 18 months. Well, 12 months. How those things work is, if you have a 0% interest, at the end of your term, if you've not paid it off of that 0%, your accrued interest, most of the times, slaps on top of that,
every
and you
time.
owe that now.
That's all that
every
is.
Time?
Every time.
Okay. Well, all of a sudden, the little bit of money we had left to pay on the ring at 12 months, it, like, tripled.
Oh, yeah. Like, oh, it hit the accrued interest. It was like $1,500 on top of it. Yeah, it was just straight interest.
I absolutely
She threw a chair.
Panicked. I did not.
She threw a chair.
That's your favorite line to say, that I always throw chairs. I think that was one time, and I was moving it out of my way.
Well, this is one time that the bank was wrong, and you like to bring it up.
So he called and got it all worked out. We didn't have to pay it.
Nope.
But I was so paranoid that I was like, okay, I'm taking over budgeting. And I had my little notebook and my pen, and every month I would go through our bank account and be like, what is this? What is that?
It was terrible.
Awful.
I couldn't even go to the C-store and get a Coke. It was miserable.
I'd be like, why did you need that Coke? Were you thirsty? Were you that thirsty?
Oh, I mean, they was relentless. I mean, seriously.
So anyway, that lasted about a month and a half.
Oh, I don't even think it actually. I think you're right. I think it was like 45 days. I think it was a solid. We got through a month cycle, and then halfway through the next one, and I came home one day, and you're like, I'm done. I can't take this anymore.
So luckily, I have him to handle that, and we, like I said, we still discuss it. So it's not like I'm completely blind to what's happening in our world.
Right, but she had to release some sort of like, gah, because that was just never going to go away. Like if Kira was going to stay involved in all this, it was going to be on her brain. Like when we go to bed tonight, like how much is in the bank account?
I mean, that's this irrelevant. Day, if you write down all our mortgages,
oh
and our utilities,
right, I had to break up the spreadsheet.
I have a heart attack. How are we going to pay all that off? Oh my gosh, we're only 30. What? When are we going to do this? Blah, blah, blah.
How much do we owe in the car?
Yeah.
Listen,
it's a thing.
All right. And
So know yourself.
Right. That's...
Know yourself.
Know yourself.
And know your limits.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. Know yourself is a beautiful phrase. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
Like, have self-control, take a breath, and know yourself. And that's it. I mean, seriously, we can fight about politics all day. There's left, there's right, there's liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, whatever else you want to make up in blah, 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 progressives and nonsense, whatever. Sure, yeah, exactly. There's the same kind of setup in, like, economics class. There's, like, multiple ways to look at it. But then you're like, wait a minute, but it's numbers. Right, but it's what do you do with those numbers? And how do you look at those numbers? And how do you use it? Okay, all of this has just taught me that just do what's best for you. Because it's the same thing with politics, with economics, with your household, with how you eat. Diets. There's keto diets, there's, what's the other diets? Paleo diets, there's vegan, there's vegetarian, there's carnivorous. Those terrible people. But you don't know what's going to work for your body until you try it. What made me lose 40 pounds and made Kira lose 40 pounds was not the same thing. We had to eat different foods. I cooked 2 different meals every time. The same vegetables, different fish. It was different exercise regimens. It was all those things are different because, thankfully God made us all unique. So since we're all unique, we all have our own little way of doing things, way of thinking, way of cooking, way of what makes your body tick perfectly. All of these things are different. So just know yourself. Calm down. It'll be okay. It gets a little stressful sometimes. It's all right. That's why whenever there's an economic crash, cigarettes and beer are still skyrocket in sales because
your fame
we're always going to do that.
Besides we can sleep in the truck it's just money. It's just money.
It's just money.
And I used to be like, yeah, I know. We need that to live. Like, we need that to stay in our house. We need money. But now I get it. Like,
it's just money.
It's just money.
It's just money.
So
if you're going to live on the nickel, then you might as well just Godspeed. Because it's just money.
Yeah. Yeah. So to the person, like the one that came to you recently and was a single man working, didn't know where all his money was going in the month, what did you say to him?
The single man who was working? I'm sorry, y'all. The Braves are on. It's the playoffs, and I got distracted. My apologies. One more time.
That young man that came to you recently and asked, he doesn't know where his money goes every month. He makes a good bit of money, but he's just not sure where it goes. Mm-hmm. He lives south of us.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say his name.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, no, I'm
what
there.
What did you say to him?
I don't remember. What did I say to him?
Oh,
I say all sorts of things to him.
Right. Okay, never mind.
No,
I was trying to bring this point home.
Well, bring it home. Tell me.
I don't remember. You told him that...
Oh, it's just money. That's what I told him.
That was it?
Yeah, I said, it's just money, dude. And if you're spending more than you're bringing in, then you're doing something wrong.
Okay.
You have no real commitments. So, come on. You're a single male. Like, you don't even, and you don't own anything. Like, you're renting. And so your expenses are rent, utilities, food, party.
Did he understand, what you meant?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because he has a goal to buy a house, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So, and his number one thing that is most scary, and what is the thing that gives you most anxiety in your life? And he says, it's just life. Because life is scary and it changes. And it does. But, you can ride that roller coaster or you can watch that roller coaster. You'll be okay. What are you going to do? Everything's fine.
Lots of people fail.
Well, of course you fail. I fail every single day.
I know, but lots of people fail and lose homes or fail and run up credit cards and fail. So he's
nervous.
He's nervous
because he doesn't trust himself. That's all it is. Yeah. Jinx. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So know yourself. Trust yourself.
So even as a single male, a couple.
Oh yeah. A single female.
A couple with...
Single whatever you identify as.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
Don't. A couple with children, one child, multiple children. It all comes down to how much do you trust yourself? How much self-discipline do you have? And then how much do you trust each other? Because I have the utmost trust in you. And if you came to me one day, with that ring situation, which luckily worked out, but you said, I messed up. I'm sorry, I thought this, and I ran the numbers wrong, and this is where we're at. I trust you, and if you're telling me you messed up, you messed up. It was an accident.
Trust me. If I messed up, I'll tell you.
And you beat yourself up more than I would. So, I think that alone, that's a very key component of budgeting, especially in a homestead.
A couple budget for sure. You got to trust each other.
On a homestead too, because all of our animals depend on us. I mean, if we lost everything tomorrow, like all the banks called in our mortgages, and we'd be like, "Oh, okay,
that would suck."
Yeah, and we lost everything. All of our animals would suffer. Like we would find places, but we would. I mean, let me tell you, my horse Willow, who's my extra puppy, would not take kindly to a new owner who didn't understand that she's a giant teddy bear that is too diva to do anything else but be petted and loved
and fed.
She would not take kindly to that.
I mean, seriously, she has to get a handful of grain every day, twice a day. And when I say a handful, I literally mean a handful. Because we feel bad.
I give her extra.
I know. That's why sometimes...
Tiny does too.
I know Tiny does. It's terrible.
Even Cinnamon. Because Willow and Cinnamon live off air and they don't actually need a lot, like any grain, because they have hay. They don't live off air. They live off hay and they're completely perfect, fine. But they just like grain. So
okay, I like Reese cups. That doesn't mean I'm going to eat one every morning.
I know, they're so cute. Anyway,
how did that turn into they're cute? They are fat.
Willow is a healthy weight, and Cinnamon has so many fat pockets on her body for so long that our vet said literally...
It would take plastic surgery to set her right. Poor thing.
So there's that. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that wraps up our budgeting talk. And as always, it always goes a little bit longer than we thought, but I think we covered everything. Let me think.
If you make $5, don't spend more than $5.
Don't spend $7. And if you do spend $7, put $2 on credit with 0% interest.
Right. And then next month,
by the turn.
And then next month, make sure you only spend $4.50 because you need that 50 cents to pay the note.
That's right. That's right. So that's the gist of it. And if you have any questions, as I say every single time we're talking on this, we're not experts.
No.
We've made mistakes.
Right.
And not everybody wants to leverage their life like we have in different ways. But we have learned a lot, and I have confidence in his budgeting, and now that his entire company has confidence in his budgeting, it makes me feel even better. So we're good. Because a few $100,000 to him in that budget is nothing for our little $100-something budget. So, all right. Well, we'll talk to you later, y'all. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.